As the Arizona Republic's water reporter Joanna Allhands put it, Governor Katie Hobbs issued a wake-up call. Will our elected officials listen? Our first guests have been sounding the alarm for a while now. Sarah Porter is executive director of the Kyle Center for Water Policy at Arizona State University. She's worked on water issues in the West for the last 2 decades. Kathleen Ferris is a senior research fellow at the Kyle Center with more than 40 years of experience on Arizona water issues. In fact, she helped write the 1980 state groundwater law that saw this day coming and tried to avert it. Welcome back to Square Off. Great to see you.
Thank you.
I'm going to start with you, Sarah Porter. Kind of a simple question. There are a lot of water shortages out there. We've been talking about the Colorado River for about 2 years or more. How does this water shortage tie in, if at all, to the Colorado River shortage?
Well, this water discussion that we're having is about groundwater, which is water that's stored in aquifers and we pump up through wells. And so it's a different water supply, but it ties in because we really need to think about one water. Pressure on one source of supply usually means pressure on all the other sources of supply.
But this is not Colorado River water.
This is groundwater, water stored in the aquifers. It is not Colorado River water.
One of our many water issues. Now, Kathy Ferris, a week before Katie Hobbs' State of the State speech, here's what you said in an Arizona Republic op-ed, quote, "The state of Arizona is facing a water crisis and it is time for full transparency." And you called on Governor Hobbs to order the release of a West Valley groundwater study. So, and here's what else you said, so the truth can guide our water decisions. First question is, were you the one who told the governor, hey, this exists, you need to release it?
Well, I'm one of the ones who told the governor, but I had had enough, basically, and I felt that this report had been sequestered for too long. It's been ready to be released for a long time, and it felt to me like if it didn't get released, then we would not have the necessary discussion that we need to have.
And that we're having right now.
Right now.
Why was it sequestered?
Well, you can guess as well as I can, but there's a lot of money involved in people who own land in it's called the Hassayampa Subbasin, the west side of the valley, and they want to build big master plan communities. And if there's no water for those communities, then they can't move forward.
And here's a larger question, something I've been wondering about for years, or asking about. So the truth can guide our decisions. Has the truth been guiding our decisions or not on water over these last few decades?
Sometimes, but not always. So the problem that we've got now with groundwater has been decades in the making. And it's been decades in the making because we've ignored the basic fundamentals of groundwater management and have decided that we can just allocate groundwater to new development. And the bottom line is we really can't grow on groundwater. It's a finite supply.
And it's literally water that's underground, and that is pumped to the surface. Do we even know how much groundwater is there?
We do, but the models keep changing. The way we know is through modeling, sophisticated modeling by the Department of Water Resources. But what we've seen is that over the years, those models have changed and have shown that, in fact, the groundwater that's available is less than what we previously thought. So we have to be more conservative about allocating that groundwater.
In one of the fastest growing states and areas in the country, and Sarah, I'll turn to you. This West Valley study shows a vast area in and around Buckeye, one of the fastest growing cities in the country. Buckeye itself in area is larger than Phoenix. It is falling well short of the groundwater it needs to support long-term growth. As Kathy said, major projects are going up there. What's the impact for folks who live in the West Valley, and even here in Metro Phoenix, when they see that? Should they be wondering, will I have water?
No, they shouldn't be wondering about their own water supply, especially if they live in one of the bigger, older cities or even in Buckeye, because in Arizona, in our most populous areas, we have requirements that development prove up a long-term water supply before a home can be built. So we can get really technical, And there are lots of criticisms to how well these regulations work, but for the most part, people who buy a home in a place where they have a municipal water provider or a private water provider, they have a great deal of assurance that there is a long-term water supply for that home, for their residents.
But in the Buckeye area, we're just talking about future development.
Right.
I think Terravalis, the giant community, Microsoft's Bill Gates is planning something called Belmont out there.
Right, because developers have to go and prove up this long-term water supply before they can plat their development. There's a lag between this finding of inadequate groundwater to support future development and already planned communities. But this will definitely have an impact on some of those future communities. Those communities, those developers will have to go find another supply of water.
And what Sarah's talking about is the assured 100-year supply of water that was written into the groundwater law you were a big part of. People might say, 100 years, we're not going to be here, who cares? Why 100 years?
Well, 100 years was something that the state came up with in 1973 when we had land swindles going on. And so it was just picked out of the air as a long-term water supply. But I agree with you. I don't think 100 years is enough, quite frankly. The city of Phoenix has been here far longer than 100 years. Homes, businesses, communities, they're not going to move away in 100 years if the water supply is gone. So we need to be looking indefinitely at the water supply. We can't just say, oh, it's 100 years and call it good. We can't fallow rooftops. We have to be more conscientious about how we're going to allow growth to happen and where we're going to allow it to happen.
So the groundwater law saw this day coming. Why couldn't it prevent what's happening now in Buckeye?
Because in 1993, the Arizona legislature amended the law at the behest of developers and communities that didn't have access to surface water to allow them to use groundwater to show an assured water supply. 30 years ago, we set the stage for what we're seeing happening now. And a lot of us said the day of reckoning will come.
And is this it?
This is it.
This is it. What needs to happen now to deal with this?
For development to occur, developers are going to have to go out and find a new supply of water. And there are opportunities for new water supplies out there, but they require investments in infrastructure, investments in the water supplies themselves.
And at your end, are there any other areas like Phoenix? We know Pinal County has this problem, Cochise County, Pima County. This isn't just Buckeye, correct?
That's right, and it's really heartening to me to see the Department of Water Resources, with the governor's support, really starting to speak out on this critical issue. Tom Bushatsky, the director of the department, has been saying this issue is going to daylight in a whole lot of other areas. So it's time, it is past time to address this issue.
Past time. Kathy Ferris, Sarah Porter, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks so much for the work you do.
Thanks
for having us.